Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. On this tutorial I'll be teaching you how to create a drag and drop interface using React.js. You can see it on the screen here. You can drag a card from this container to another container and it updates the index and the states. So without much of ado, let's dive straight into the code. Alright, have some basic things set up like my app.js, index.js and nothing much, and I created a file called drag and drop.js which we'll be using for this. Alright, so the first thing you need to do here is create your data, so where you have the items and the columns. I'm just going to paste that here. So here is the initial items, and I have the items and the columns alongside the column order, right? And each items has the ID, then the items ID is linked with the columns, making it item IDs, right? Alright, so the next thing you need to do is create a state. So I'm just going to call it const items, set items is equal to use states. Then I'm going to set the default state to initial items, which is what we have here, right? Okay, the next thing is to render this on the screen here. Oh, I see the error, use state is not defined, my bad. So I think we need to import it from React. Use states from React. Alright, so we need to render, but core is not defined. Where's that coming from? Let me refresh this. Okay, so first we need to render this on the page. So that means we have to map through these initial items. So I'll get rid of this, right? And I'll have something like this. First I want to give this a class name. Let's call it content container, right? Content container. Okay, then here I can map through the, so here I'm going to map through the I think I should map through the column order because we want to render the columns in the order. So I'll map through the column order dot map, then I'll pass in just the column ID. Okay, then here we declare a variable called const column is equal to items dot columns should take the index of the column ID, right? So we made some mistake here. Alright, then we need one more variable called for the items, so I can just call it catalog, I guess, which is same as item. So I can say column dot item IDs, so it should be the item IDs from here, right? So column dot item IDs dot map item ID, then this, I'm getting the items dot items item ID. Hope that makes sense. Alright, now I can now return the the column title, so I can have something like this: column dot title, and this should return the mol, correct? So here we are rendering now the data we have here. I can as well return the ID or whatever, but instead I can just return a component, then you pass the prop, column, and catalog to that component. So let's have something like this. Let's call this column, and let's pass the key as column dot ID. Then next we'll pass column and catalog as prop to this component. Mind you, this component is not created yet, so we'll create it afterwards. We're done passing the prop. Now item, now pass the catalog as prop. Alright. Okay, I think there's an error somewhere. What could be wrong? Oh, yeah. Okay. So here it says column is not defined because it's not created yet. So I think we need to create a file called column.js. I'm just gonna use the short keyword RSC to bring in my snippets. Then I can then go back to the column, drag and drop .js. Then you import the file here, column. Alright, so I think that should get rid of the error. Alright, now in the column.js file, we can now call this props using the destructuring method. So you do something like this, then call column and item. The items or item. Okay, item. Alright, I think I should call it item since it's plural. Right. Now here is we have the columns and the items. So here I can as well render the column dot title, and I'll get the same results mol. Okay, so first I'd like to give this a class name of container. Alright. Now let me wrap this in a p tag. So we'll do Command Shift P and wrap this in a p tag. Okay. Now next thing we're gonna do here is mapping through these items. Then pass the prop into a component called item. That makes sense. Okay, let's do something like, first I'm gonna create a div. Then I think I should give a class name, which I'm going to style later. So I'm just gonna give it items. That's called lists. Okay. Then here I can now map through the items. Item and index, because I'll be passing the index as the prop too. So here, so this, oh my god. So now this should now this item and index now should be passed as a prop into this component I'm about to create now called item. So first I'll have the key to be item.id. Then I'll pass item as prop to this, and index as well to this. Okay, so same error, item is not defined, which means we need to create the file called item.js. So let's do that right away. Item.js and rsc snippet. Back here, I'll import item from item. Okay. So there's an error. It says item is not defined. Where could this be coming from? I'm sure there's an error. Let me refresh the page. Okay. So in my item.js, I think I'll just render the item.content. So first I need to call the props using the destructuring method. So I'll call in item and index. Alright, so the index, we're going to be using the index later, but for now we just use the items. So here I just want to create a p tag, right? Then item.content. So this should return the list of items, right? Go to the mall, buy groceries, and blah blah blah. Alright, also I want to give this p tag a class name that I'll be styling later. Card. I'm just gonna call it card. So it's a card that I can move around. Okay. And I think that will be all for rendering this. Now the next thing is installing the library. The library what we're going to be using for drag and drop in this tutorial, and it's no other library than the react-beautiful-dnd drag and drop. So to install that library, we just have to run this simple command npm i react-beautiful dash. I think I should widen this for a better view. react-beautiful -dnd. Alright. Now this should install the package. Alright, now it's done installing. Let's dive back to the code. So back here, drag and drop JS, I'll have to import the library. So you can do that by just saying import drag drop context, also droppable, and lastly draggable. Alright, so these are the three things we're going to be working with this library. So okay, so let me just give a brief explanation on these three things. Alright, so the drag drop context is a higher order component provided by react-beautiful-dnd that wraps the entire application or a specific part of it. So it enables the drag and drop functionality within your React application. So you typically wrap your top level components or relevant container components with the drag drop context. So the component provides the necessary context and event handlers for managing drag and drop interactions across your application. Okay, that's for the drag drop context. Now for droppable is a component provided by the library as well that represents an area in your application where draggable items can be dropped. So note the difference. The droppable, you can drop draggable items there, while the draggable is a component that represents an individual item that can be dragged within the application. Alright, so in this file we do not need the droppable and the draggable. We just need the drag drop context. So I'll just get rid of this, and now I'll wrap this whole div with the drag drop context. So just have something like this, drag drop context, then move this up. Okay, now fix my indentations with format documents. All right, that's for the first step. Okay, now for the column.js, we'll do a similar thing. So here I'll import. So this column is where this column will be the droppable. So any item we drag, we drop it on this column. So I need to import the droppable right from the library. So droppable is droppable from then I can now wrap the droppable with this. So I can say Ctrl+Shift+P, droppable. Okay, now okay, pause. All right, now you can see the droppable is returning an error saying children is not a function. So it needs to have a callback called provided. So provided is an object containing various properties and functions provided by the library to facilitate the drag and drop functionality within the components. So just have something like this, and provided. Okay, then this. Now I can wrap this div inside this block. Alright, so now we fixed the error. So we need to add some properties of the provided to this div. So let's first add the ref. So say provided dot inner ref, and the next is the droppable props. So provided dot droppable props. And lastly, okay, I think that'll be all. So all right, so the provided dot inner ref is like a reference to a DOM element. So the reference allows the library to manage positioning and behavior of the components during drag and drop operations, while the droppable props it's just what you spread into the DOM elements you want to make draggable. All right, so this is all for this file. Now move straight to the last file called the item. Here we just have to import the draggable, right? Draggable from react-beautiful. Then here we'll wrap this draggable. Okay, now same thing we did for the previous file. Children is not function, so I'm just going to do that here. So it says provided, then this, then here I can just move this to the block, and I'll fix my indentations. That's it. Then here I can just call first my reference. Okay. Provided dot inner ref. The next, spread provided first, provided dot draggable props. Now because the item is what we are dragging, we need to add one more called the drag handle props. So it's going to be provided dot drag handle props. Okay, and so I forgot something on this column file. We are supposed to add something else here called the this provided dot placeholder. So basically what this will do is it kinds of creates a space. So let's say for example we are trying to drag this item to a different container. It kind of creates an extra space for that item to fit in. Right, now we are done with this. I think this should be able to drag to some point. So let's see if it's working. Okay, it's not working, so there's an error that we need to fix. Alright, let's inspect the page and debug the error. Oh, so here it says let me clear this. Okay, it seems we are forgetting something. Right, so right here we need to add something, a droppable ID. Okay, so here droppable ID has to be the column dot ID. Same thing for the item dot JS. We need to add the draggable ID. Draggable ID should be the item dot ID. And lastly, we should add the index. So like I said, we are going to use this index letter. So this is what we are. This is where we are using the index here. So it's also need the index. So let's add the index. This. All right. Now this should work now. Okay, it's still not working. So let's see what the problem could be. Let me drag this. Alright, so I think we forgot something. We're supposed to add something here. The on drag end prop. So here I have the on drag end, then assign a drag end to it. Now let's create the function. For now the function is going to be empty. So say const on drag end is equals passing results to it. Okay. Now test this and see if it's gonna work. Okay, it's not working. So let's see what the error is. So here it says unable to find draggable with ID item 4. Okay, well, I think this error, it's not from the code base. I think it's from the library itself, because the library has problems with active maintenance. This is an updated version of React, so it's not going to be compatible with this library because it's updated. If this were to be an older version of React, I think this should be working. So to fix this error, we can naively disable strict mode in index.js, but that wouldn't be a nice idea because it might cause some bugs, or some unexplainable bugs in the future. So there's actually a way we can fix this problem. So how we can fix this bug is if we render the droppable elements after an animation frame, I think that should fix the bug. So first, in this droppable column, so I need to import use states and use effects. Okay. The next, declare the states. So we call this enabled and set enabled. Oops. Use states. Now the default state is going to be false. Okay. Now what this is going to do is we are going to render the droppable elements after an animation frame. So meaning we'll be using things like request animation frame and cancel animation frame. So let's create a use effect to handle that. Call this and this. So I'll deploy a variable called animation const animation is equal to request animation frame. Then here you set the enable to true. Alright. So basically the request animation frame is a method that it tells the browser that you wish to perform an animation and request that the browser calls a specified function to update an animation before the next repeat. So here I'm setting the enable to be true. Then right after this, I'm just going to return this, so I can cancel the animation frame after it's done repainting. So I'll just cancel the animation here. Then here I'll set enable to false. And finally, just have a little check here. If not enabled, it should return null. Okay. So the cancel animation frame is just to cancel a previously scheduled animation frame request before it is executed. So here I have this check. If it's not enabled, it should just return null. So I think that should fix our little bug. Let me refresh this. There's a problem here that we need to look into. Oh, dependency. Okay, I forgot to add dependency array in the use effects. Alright, so now this should fix our error. So when I drag this, it's working now. It's working now, right? But there's a little problem. So when let's say I drag this C, the end product, to the first index, when I drag this, it goes back to the previous state, which isn't a good one. So that's it. I think we need to modify this guy here on drag function. So first, let me talk about this results parameter here. So this drag end comes with a built-in parameter called results. So I've logged this out, so let's see what the results returns. So when I inspect the page, so yeah, let me clear this. So let's say I drag this C, the end product item, drag it to the second index, right? It goes back. Now the result returns this. First, it returns the destination where it's heading to. So you can see column 1, which is index 1 here, and the source. It returns also the source where it's dragged from, right? So it was dragged from the index tree, which is here, and the droppable ID is where it's dropped. Then draggable ID, it's the item that is being dragged. So all these are what the result returns for us. So we're going to be using this to work on the drag and drop feature for this. So let me get rid of the console real quick. Alright, so in this function, the first thing we need to do here is we need to add a check, right? Okay, we need to add a check saying if, but before that check we should do something else. So we need to destructure the destination, source, and draggable ID, then assign it to results. So we'll have something like this: const destination, source, and the draggable ID. Results. Alright, so I want to show you something real quick. So let me log this results again and show you something. So when I inspect the page, right, and I go to the console, then I drag this to here, it returns the results, right? Now let's say I drag this, I try to drop it in a different, like out of the box. So this box is not part of the drag and drop interface. What happens? It still returns the results, and this is not a good one. So we need to add a check to validate that. So what we need to do here is get rid of this. So say if, was a simple check. So if not destination, so if destination doesn't match, it should just return, right? So let's see if that works. Console.log results. So here when I do same thing again, okay, and when I drag this to a different, see, it doesn't return a result again. So we're making a progress. Okay, now let's get rid of this one here. Alright, now we need to add another check. So it should be something like this: if the destination dot droppable droppable. Why do I find this hard to spell this? Droppable is equal to the source dot droppable ID. Droppable ID and destination dot the index is equal to the source dot index. So all I want you to do for me is what's this? So here you should just return. All right. So this second check is what it does is if the both conditions are true, so it means that the item has been dropped in the same position and within the same column from where it was dragged. So in such cases, there is no need to update the state or perform any further actions. So therefore, the function just returns early, effectively ignoring the whole drag and drop operation. So this check is like often used to optimize the performance and prevent unnecessary updated to the state when the item is dropped in its original position. So I hope that makes sense. So before moving on, I think okay, I think I just need to add the styling just a few minutes so this can look much better. So I'm just going to grab it from where it's copied from. I just have this here. So this is just small stylings I have here. Now I think I need to increase the column to maybe 3 columns. So I'll just duplicate this into 3. Right. And this. Now get rid of this. And I'll get rid of this also. I'll change this to, shopping mall, shop, say house, and shop. Right, then change the ID to column 2, column 3. Then same thing here, column 2, and column 3. Now read properties of item IDs. Okay, there's an error here. Alright, so I think I need to change this to 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Alright, so now this looks much better. Now let's create the start and finish variable. So I have something like start is equal to now the items dot the columns. And because it's the starting point, so it should be the source, right? So where it's starting from, dot the droppable ID. Alright, then same thing for the finish, but a little bit different. It's equal to items dot columns. And because the finish, So it has to be the destination dot droppable ID. Alright. Now let's add a check here. So before we work on moving the items from this container to a different container, somewhere like here or here, we need to work on this part first, swiping it within its container. So when I move it here, it should remain here instead of going back. So we need to have a check. So if the start is equal to the finish, then we should do this. First, we'll declare a variable called new items, new item IDs is equal to array dot from. Now should start from the start dot item IDs. Alright. Now the new item IDs needs to be spliced, so I'll splice the new item IDs with the source index and also the destination index. So I have something like this: new item IDs dot splice, then source ID, source dot index 1. Alright, then same thing here for the destination. I'll have new items ID dot splice. This time it should be the destination dot index 0, and lastly the draggable ID. Alright, next now we have this new item IDs. We should create a new instance of the column. So it's going to be something like this: a new column is equal to this. So inside this column, we should have something like, alright, I think we should spread the stats here, the stats variable here first. Then for the item IDs, we should assign the new item IDs to it. So as it's the new column, so we assign this new item IDs to the item IDs in this new column. Then next we'll create a new state. So we have something like, so we should create a new state in which we're going to append this new column to, right? So when you drag and drop, when you drag an item and drop it, it creates a new state. So that new state should be equal to this. So first I'll spread the existing states, which is items. The next the columns will be something like this. What should be here? What should be here? Alright. In the columns, okay, we should first spread the items dot columns into the columns, right? Then next we assign the new column ID. Okay, so the new column ID dot ID, assign it to the new column. Alright, so in the new states we are spreading the states first, then we also want to spread the items dot columns. Then now we are adding the new column we created here. So the new column is what has been dragged into. So we are adding it to the new states here. And lastly, we will set the this state to the new states. Hope that makes sense. So here we can have something like this: set items to the new states. Okay, then lastly, return. So let's see if this is working now. So when I drag this now to the third index, see, it remains there. So now the start is equal to the finish. So now it creates the new column, then I append it to the new states. Now I'm setting the items to the new states, so it updates the states. Alright, so when I drag and drop this, no matter how the index I drop it out, it remains there. So the final part is achieving a functionality whereby we can drag this card out from this box to either this or this, as long as it's in the drag drop context container. Okay, so first we need to do some modifications. Okay, so that should be first to create a variable called start item in this start item IDs. Alright, item IDs. Then similar to what we've been doing before, not much difference, just a little modifications. So this should be the start dot item IDs. Alright, then next we have next we splice this, so we should have start item IDs dot splice. First the source index dot index, and secondly we splice it with the destination dot index. So we have something like this: splice dot splice. We have the destination dot index take 0, and lastly the draggable ID. Alright, just like before, now we need to create a new start. New start should be equal to, first spread the stats, and finally item IDs should be assigned to the start item IDs. So pretty straightforward. Then we'll do the same thing for the finish item IDs, because it has the starting point and the finish. So just like what we did before, so we'll have const finish item IDs is equal to array dot from. This time it should be finish dot item IDs. Alright, now normal drill, splice this by the source index and the destination index. So finish item IDs dot splice. Destination dot. So I think we don't need to splice it with the source index, just destination index, because it's the ending part. So just have to do this 0 and the draggable ID. Alright, then next we'll create a new instance called the new finish. So new finish should be this. First spread the finish variable, Then secondly, we assign the item ID index to finish item ID index. Hope that makes sense. All right. Then so let's create the states, the new state in which the new start and the new finish should be appended. So I'm just gonna say new states is equal to this. So first I'll spread the states itself, the items. Then next I'll have my columns. Inside my columns, and so here we want to add both the new starts and the new finish to this column. So first we need to spread the existing columns first, which is items.columns, right? Then next we can do something similar to what we did here, but this time we just have to change some certain things. So it should be first the new starts .id is assigned to the new starts. All right. Then here the new finish .id assigned to new finish. Okay. Then at the end we are setting the states to these new states. So set items to new states. All right. Well, I think that's all for this. So let's test this out to see if it works perfectly. Not finish. So here we have an error. Cannot finish a drop animating when no drop is occurring. Wow. Okay. Should I feel droppable ID? Not finish a drop animating when no drop is occurring. So there's an error here that we need to fix. What went wrong? So animation starts. Oh! I see the error. So here in the start item IDs, we are also splicing the destination index, which is wrong. It's meant to be just for the finished item IDs. So I think we should get rid of this. Okay, and that being said, our application should work perfectly fine now. So it's working fine now. So I can drag to a different container with ease. Okay, it's working perfectly okay. All right. Okay, that will be all for this tutorial. You can explore more on this. You can add more functionalities to this. It's based on your requirements and all that, but this is just the basic for the drag and drop interface. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do well to subscribe, share, like, and comment. See you in my next video. Thank you.